and welcome back to another episode of the Change My Mind podcast.
I won't change my mind, because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Yes, you are. I am Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Darien Blood Axe to my Devra Blood Axe. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, Rebel Intruder for Hire.
Dude, they had a pretty badass look.
Badass look, badass name. If you're Blood Axe, Bloodstone, anything with blood in your name, you know, that's you're on the right track to be a badass there.
Yes, you are not to be fucked with. Yes, Elsa Bloodstone, of course, who you're referring to. But yeah, I really liked the look of these characters. There's some other really cool characters across this story, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we'll get ahead in short order here, because this week we're discussing Zack Snyder's attempt at a Star Wars-like film, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, now streaming on Netflix here. But before that, Nick, would you buy a Ready Player One like VR gaming system?
No. I think I'd like to experience it, but I don't think I'd want to buy it because I don't know. I want to say no, but why? I'm more curious. Why are you asking me this question?
Well, you may have an opportunity to in the coming years here, because I saw this on Twitter, maybe within the last couple of days here, but I got it pulled up. This is from @TrungTFan, PHAN on X here.
Of course.
Disney Imagineers cooked up a hollow tile floor. Hollow tile is the name. So you can walk around in virtual spaces and it will adapt to your movements. So it's kind of like, it kind of looks like a honeycomb almost, if I'm describing it. And it's got these little wheels that go in all types of directions. And wherever you walk, you can even do like two people on the platform at once. And it's like you're walking in real life. And it's supposed to pair with the Apple Vision Pro. Maybe this is what he's saying. The end of the tweet says, in 5 years, this floor combined with Apple Vision Pro, combined with GTA 7, will be the most insane gaming experience ever.
GTA 7.
Or whatever, any open, imagine like Spider-Man or something like that,
Sure. But still, either way, like GTA 7 is the perfect one to bring up. But yeah, I mean, like, it would be an interesting thing to experience for sure. But you know what, I think the problem for me is, like, I just know, like, I do like video games. I don't play them anymore, but I could get sucked in on a really good one. I get sucked in, like, and I'd be gone. So I don't even mess around with that necessarily anymore. I feel like that could easily happen to anybody with this.
Now let's say, okay, so this tweet is projecting 5 years into the future here. So imagine we have a nuclear holocaust, like global, global nuclear event here, where we can't go outside. The air is poisoned, and our only means of remembering the nice ocean breeze or the sound of trees rustling and falling in the fall time there is just to put on your headgear. And go take a walk in a virtual park.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's kind
of like what what's his name was doing, Fury in Secret Invasion, or at the end of like Captain Marvel or whatever it was. He was on the beach there.
Yes, yeah. Was it Captain Marvel? Yeah,
I think it was one of those movies.
No, it was Captain
Marvel.
About. Yes. I mean, I think that's pretty fair. Like, if you're in that kind of a situation and you want a small slice of, like, this is the good, like what it used to be when it was like normal, then yeah, I think that would change things significantly.
Good, yeah, I think that would change a lot of things significantly. I think we're probably underselling the point there, right? But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think I could do this. I mean, albeit like I haven't had a gaming system since high school, college time there, so. But I would imagine it would be cool to do it like kind of like how I would go over my friend's house and play Halo or Call of Duty or Madden or something. It would be nice to experience with someone else. But I couldn't have one in the household.
Yeah, we're on a similar page then.
Looks cool though. I always like when new technology comes out, even if it's like kind of freaky.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm I'm a little more hit or miss on those.
No, I'm always intrigued by it, but whether I adapt it into my own life is a different story. Like, I will never adapt this into my own life, but I don't know, probably within the last month, I was at a Whole Foods and they have a palm scanner where you can get,
Yeah.
I think it's like your Amazon Prime code or something, and you scan your palm as if like you would do with like Apple Pay, tap and go type of thing.
Yeah. No. I mean,
And
I know we do it with our phones already to an extent, but
it's
I,
not you.
yeah, it's not your personal
Yeah.
device at home. No.
Or we probably talked about this before too. Clear. Are you familiar with that at all at airports?
No.
So it's like another step of like TSA, I don't know, pre-check or pre-check-in or whatever, where you bypass the lines to go through security by scanning your retina. So they have all your biometric data. So all you have to do is like put your eyes into this little scanner, and
Hmm.
you're good to go. That's like your digital fingerprint almost.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No. Probably no on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. I'm just gonna wait in the line, even as maddening as that is. I gotta take off my shoes, my belt. Do I keep my electronics in my backpack? Do I take them out?
Have you ever talked about this before? I know we just did an intro question already, but how early do you like to be at an airport?
Oh, geez, it kind of varies. I would like to be 2 hours,
Hmm. Yeah.
maybe
Gotta be.
3 hours. It's a whole day. If you're going to the airport, you're just lost the entire day.
100%. Yeah, you just got to take the L and move on to wherever you're trying to fly to. But yeah, if it's not, I got to be at least 2 hours for sure. Otherwise, I'm like, and I have to leave. My thing is more important. Like when I'm leaving, I would probably say like if like I'm going to Boston, right? That's an hour drive for me. I would want to leave an hour and a half ahead of my desired time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Then you start doing like the whole domino effect, right? Okay, I got to be at the airport 2 hours before my plane leaves. My plane leaves at 6. I got to be there at 4. Takes me an hour to get to the airport, so I want to leave an hour and a half before. Because traffic. I was just up in Boston this weekend. It's a fucking nightmare.
Awful. Yep. Nope. I'm
Just
good.
people double park and get out of their cars like on busy streets, just leave their car running. And then, like in another lane, an Uber driver's letting out people, so it just completely blocks the entire road. No
Hard
one can
pass.
get by. It's like, chaos.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm getting hot just talking about it here. So let's cool down with the comic book minute.
A superb choice.
All right, so this week we got a couple interesting Marvel titles. We have the Fall of X going on right now. The Krakoa era is coming to an end. So we got the resurrection of Magneto, issue 1, which I believe is just going to be a single issue for that. We got a bunch of things going on there. Then we have Star Wars Thrawn Alliances issue 1. We're starting to get more and more Thrawn stuff. He has been written in prose quite a bit. I can't say I've read all of those, but I did read the Thrawn comic that was extrapolating from one of the books. I think it was the Fall of the Empire, whatever it was. The story that had Thrawn in prose, they made it into a comic. I read that, talked about it on TLDR a while back. Now it looks like they're getting into a little bit more. I saw Vader on one of the covers, so I think this is a 3-issue mini series.
Okay.
Then from Image, we got Ghost Machine issue 1, which is the start of a new universe over there. I think Jeff Johns is involved in that, so something that might be interesting. From Boom, we got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 116, and Draken is on the cover of that. That is the evil Tommy Oliver, who has both a white ring. You were too ready for that. What the hell? Wow.
The one time I'm ready is spontaneous.
That was amazing. But where he has the White Ranger powers and the Green Ranger powers. And then we also got the finale of Damn Them All, issue 12. That is a series where if you're a Constantine fan, you want to check that out. On TLDR this week, Joe is talking The Madness from AWA Studios, and I am talking Scott Snyder's, one of his Scott-tober books that came out a while back, Canary. We also just had a fireside chat with the creative team of this new series called The Infernals, which is an Image Comics series. And that is basically the Omen meets Succession. That's like kind of the pitch. Yeah. And the first issue
that's interesting.
Yeah, the first issue was really awesome. And I haven't watched Succession, but I've heard enough where it's like I see what they're talking about, but at the same time, like it's a good elevator pitch, but it is its own thing. Also, really quick side note, something you guys are going to be hearing about a little bit more. There's an interesting Kickstarter campaign that is that just started its pre-launch phase. Just wanted to put that on everybody's radar. I'll be talking about it on here a little bit in some capacity every week during the comic book minute. I'll explain more why when it fully launches, but Thorny Comics is the Twitter account that you want to follow if you want to see more about it. So Scott Snyder's affiliated with it in some capacity. So just something that I wanted to put on everybody's radar. You'll hear about it on here. You'll hear about it on TLDR a little bit more. But that's all I'm going to say for right now, Wes.
I love it. I'm very excited for this tease to be pulled on a little bit more over the next coming weeks here. I'm very, very excited for it. And for you, I don't know. Maybe that's giving away too much there. But nevertheless, I think we're ready for our main topic here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Tommy, are you ready?
All right, now let's go get them.
They're all ready. The Power Rangers are ready. Tommy's ready. Nick's
I got to
ready.
get a morpher.
Yeah, that's right. For our main topic here, which is Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, now streaming on Netflix. We could say this is just a Star Wars movie, but what's the synopsis, Nick?
When a peaceful settlement on the edge of a distant moon finds itself threatened by the armies of a tyrannical ruling force, a mysterious stranger living among its villagers becomes their best hope for survival.
So that was from IMDb. When I was looking at IMDb, I was expecting it to start with like in a galaxy far, far away.
They may as well have the intro.
Because this was written and directed by Zack Snyder, starring Sophia Boutella as Cora, Djimon Hounsou as General Titus, Ed Skrein as Atticus Noble. I think we'll be talking about him a little bit. He's an interesting character. Mikael Huisman as Gunner. Ray Fisher as Darian Bloodaxe, Cleopatra Coleman as Devra Bloodaxe, Bae Doona as Nemesis, another really interesting character, Charlie Hunnam as Kai, Anthony Hopkins as Jimmy, Staz Nair as Tarak, and Fra Fee as Balissaurus.
Yes, and then for the critics' reception, this did not do well with the critics.
No.
5.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 23-58 split on Rotten Tomatoes. Doesn't even add up to 100 with those two scores. Then we got a 3 out of 5 on
Yikes.
What is that on Google reviews?
Google reviews. Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
3 out of 5 on Google reviews, and then 69% of Google users like this movie, which, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad. It's nice, actually. Some would say it's nice.
Some would say, yeah.
You might recognize Fra Fee from as the good-looking tracksuit mafia guy from Hawkeye.
That's where he's from. Thank you. I'm recognizing him. I just he kind of reminds me of a few different actors, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Okay,
he felt a little young for this role. That's just me. He's too baby face-ish. He is baby faced. Yeah, that was okay. All right. What do you got for a score on this, though? I gave this an 83 out of 100. This was an enjoyable sci-fi fantasy action entry. It's not perfect, but it's a good popcorn movie that's got some star power. An unlikable villain who I think is a huge part of any good action type of movie. And some solid performances, but it's weird. It drags at parts and feels rushed at others. And if you know that this was the studio cut version and not the director's cut version, I think you watch that movie wondering what the director's cut version is.
Yeah, which is a little annoying on
this is kind of the way it goes with Snyder, right?
Yes, it is. But yeah, you're at an 83. We're as usual in the same neighborhood, but I'm on the other end of the spectrum here. I gave this
the other side of the tracks.
Yes, this is a 79 out of 100 for me. Fun time, some cool characters, some really cool shots throughout all of this. Good job. I think I actually did a really good job of world building. But it is clunky at moments. And some of the Star Wars influences were a bit too noticeable. All around, interested in watching the second installment. I know we'll get into that more later. But yeah, it's a solid movie.
Yeah, it's solid. Absolutely,
Yep.
I agree here. And I also, again, I think I enjoyed the Batman Superman Ultimate Edition more than the studio cut of it. And again, that's like the whole thing there. I thought that was I thought the Justice League Snyder cut was a better version.
Of course. Yeah, it's but my thing is at some point it's like, dude, you got to learn how to adjust. Like
Yeah.
if you don't keep like at that point you're turning into BJ Upton. Like you have all this potential, you should be
I
good. You're
love
a
it.
5-tool guy, but like in reality you're not living up to it. Like because you can't get there for some reason.
Your BJ Uptons, your JD Drews. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I'm right there with you.
Oh, you have JD Drew and BJ Upton in the same. Oh, that's
Well,
interesting.
if we're talking about guys who have all the
right.
tools, all the talent, but never really lived up to expectations, right?
You're right. You're right. You're right. JD Drew was a better player, but at the same time, he was only an all-star once, and for as
Yeah.
good as he was supposed to be, that's ridiculous.
I don't want to get
That's
on a
the point.
tangent here, but I think it was Papelbon who said he had a little bit of Rendon in him, where he
Yes.
just didn't really care about baseball all that much. He wasn't he was just naturally gifted.
It's so it's weird, like dealing with guys like that. Like I've said, it's one thing if they don't like practicing,
Mm.
putting in the work, but like you just don't like the game. It's like, oh, okay, then you don't need to be here. Like, go away.
Well, they're long games, Nick. You know, there's no clock in baseball.
This is true. I also know with some people they get paid millions of dollars like fucking children's games. So please,
And maybe only play a third of the games, maybe. Anyway, tangent ended here. Exit survey beginning. We kind of alluded to this a little bit. Could this have been a good Star Wars entry? And is it better than any of the Star Wars movies or shows that we've gotten recently?
Totally could have been a Star Wars entry. Like this could have easily been like, oh, the success of Andor, we got to go and build on this and try and take a different angle, but do something similar and get like start things off at the beginning of the rebellion. Totally could have been that. Would have been a great spin on that idea. But is it better than what we've been getting? I mean, I've liked most of the Star Wars. I think the only one that I'm like, it's on the level of the Book of Boba Fett probably for me, but the highs of the Book of Boba Fett are way better than this. And Obi-Wan Kenobi's kind of on that same level. So it's like it's on a similar level, but I think those have like higher highs, and this is probably a little this one may have lower lows. So it's probably like just a little bit below them. If that makes sense.
I could see this, not in the way that it's beloved by Star Wars fans, but I could see this in like the Rogue One, again, Star Wars stories, kind of, not really doing the Skywalker saga. But what's the last one after The Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. I like this one a little bit better than the Rise of Skywalker there. But I think this could have been. I'm surprised that Disney shot this down and didn't want to do this. Maybe. I think what the big difference is between the Star Wars titles and this, and maybe this is a creative difference that Zack Snyder wanted, but it's, obviously got that gritty palette, that gritty environment, but it lacks the fun and enchantment of Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah, no, there's
a lot of doom and gloom here.
This, and I honestly think that if anybody like this and they haven't watched the Ahsoka show, like you should, and you like. I don't know what you're waiting on, because this Ahsoka has this grittiness, but then a level of like lightheartedness that's also at play in that story.
Yeah, but I think, in my opinion, I think this aided by not being attached to Star Wars.
Yes,
it could just be its own thing. You don't get the crazy expectations of diehard fans and people who know the lore and be like, well, actually, should be this and blah blah blah. And then people who were nitpicking, then you can just kind of nitpick it for all other reasons.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's, I mean, and that's why, as much as we enjoy these universes that have been around for a while and so rich in their history, it still does, like, it can get annoying, like, especially with the way that like Star Wars fandom can be now, and then the way that like unfortunately MCU fandom is kind of turning into as well. And DC's not far off from that kind of thing happening, where it's just everybody, the people who are like, oh, it should be this, or this isn't canon, or blah blah, whatever along those lines. Like
DC fans are just apathetic at this point. They're like, I don't care.
But like with this, you're not susceptible to that. Like, it's just, is it good? Is it bad? And then that's it. Unfortunately, a lot of people seem to think it's bad.
Yeah, and I can see the people who didn't like. If you get hung up on the things that I noticed about the critiques about this movie, I get hung on, that didn't hang on for me. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I can see those things being a bigger issue for other people, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, loud and clear. I do think that from a critic standpoint, well, I don't think that this is a 23 movie out of 100. I think it's
Yeah,
absurd.
no.
I understand if that score for that 58 that the audience gave it, if that was the critic score, I could understand that.
Mhm.
I don't feel the same way, but I'm stunned that the audience was this low on it. Unless you just don't like Zack Snyder, which okay.
There's plenty of fans. I mean, the DC fan, we just talked about them being apathetic. I think they look at Zack Snyder as a almost like a Trump-like figure in that
Maybe.
world of like completely, if you hate him, that's he's the worst person ever, sort of thing, and the reason for the demise. But if you love him, he's great, and he could have done all this, but he was sabotaged by everyone around him. It's actually, now that I think about it, it feels like a pretty apt comparison.
No, I tend to agree. It's he's as polarizing as it gets. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
in the film industry for just purely what he's putting out there, and like or things that have to do with the filmmaking side of it. Because I guess like there was more to it with the Snyder Cut and and everything that happened there. With all like just stuff related to movie making, he has to be the most polarizing figure there is right now.
Yeah, I would say because everyone's got their, every director kind of has their, like, I don't know, like signature look or signature shot on things. Like Michael Bay's known for huge CGI explosions. You got Martin Scorsese with these long, sprawling cuts, that kind of go through everything. I think of like Gimme Shelter and everything like that, right? With Goodfellas going through the is it the Coco Cabana or whatever that bar is. These long shots that he's kind of known for. For Zack Snyder, it's the slow motion. It's that really saturated color palette that he goes for, and I don't necessarily mind it. I thought in some instances the slow motion was overused or made things a little corny, but it didn't ruin it for me.
There were some weird spots for it, where he like they went there. But the other thing too, when this came out and we saw like how it got panned so badly at first, then we saw like all of Snyder's movies how they got rated, like 300. I saw that it's like Rotten Tomatoes reviews. I remember everybody loving that when that came out. Maybe I just was in like a vacuum of the people that liked it, but I don't know.
Right, like teenage boys just like gorging with testosterone, going through their veins at that point. It's like, oh yeah, that's all. I went to high school when that movie came out. We were the Spartans. That was our high school mascot. So it was right up our alley there. But I agree. I think everyone our age loved that.
Michigan State's baseball team, like that was part of their pregame, like before they took the field. It was that.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely, that would be cool. That's cool warm-up stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So I think that's good there. Did this do a good job of getting you excited for part 2? And part 2 to this question, are you interested in the Snyder Cut version?
So I'm definitely watching the second part because it was interesting. And I think it definitely has potential.
Agreed. Yep.
I don't, when it comes to the Snyder Cut thing, if there was like a wait, like not as long as last time, but if there was like a wait, then I probably would be more interested. But right now it's like, okay, this movie is like, what was it, 2 hours and 14 minutes? So it's not it's not this short thing, and there's a lot to it. It is at a slower pace. So we're getting the second one. I don't think I'm gonna be itching for it. But I am a little curious, but I don't think more than curious at this point.
Yeah, I think I would recommend, if you haven't seen this movie and you're listening to this podcast, to not watch it and wait for the director's cut. I don't think you're missing that much. It's not something that you have to rush out to see. And that you wouldn't be getting it much. Now, if I go back and do a rewatch of this movie at any point in time, it's going to be the director's cut version. Same thing with Batman versus Superman or Justice League or anything like that. Like you, I'm not in a huge rush to do that. But I am excited for the second one.
Yes. Well, I agree with you. Like if I watch this again, which I will say, I could see myself watching this again. I just
Yeah,
don't.
sure.
I just don't think like after right after watching it, I'm like, no, like I'm not rushing to go and watch this all again.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes out, I'm not going to be like, all right, great, let's go watch this. But what if I have a choice between the two in 6 months to a year from now, and I'm in the mood for it, then it's going to be the Snyder cut.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the movie itself here, not some of the conversation just kind of surrounding it. What do you think was the most rewatchable scene?
So yeah, I mean, there were quite a few cool action shots. I mean, even some of the history stuff that we got was cool action.
Hmm.
I mean, like even when we see Cora, like as we're hearing about her military history, we see her with that flag, like atop of that mountain. Like that was quite an image. And that's what I mean, where there was a lot of cool shots throughout
Yes.
this.
Hmm.
Things that honestly felt like comic book covers to me or spreads. Um,
Sure.
but for me, from a most rewatchable fight scene, I really loved her first fight scene where we see her freeing Greta, and then we see like the robot kind of just coming at the mix at the end there, and just that
Hmm.
that crazy shot. So that was pretty cool. And then the other one too was Tarek, when he was like breaking the Griffin. Like
Yeah. Yep.
it wasn't so much, and it wasn't even as much the flying around part, which was good. The way he talked to that character, I've
Hmm.
never felt so invested in like a scene like that where it was like he's gonna try and like tame this wild beast. I just he did an outstanding job with that. So I really like that a lot.
And what with knowing what you know by the end that he is of nobility, he
Yeah.
speaks very nobly and like with this like quiet confidence, this like assuredness of himself, while he's talking to the Griffin there too. And there was something very like calming but powerful. You just kind of felt safe and like a benevolent leader. You know, like
Yeah.
when you just kind of trust a benevolent leader. So I can kind of see connect the dots, knowing what we know now.
Yeah. He was one of the best characters from this movie for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think, there's this whole middle part of the movie, probably, I guess it's like the second act, you could say, of getting the gang together. Right.
Yeah.
And this is something that aged the best and also kind of ages the worst. But I like anything when they get the gang together. I'm a big fan of that. The A Team, Lord of the Rings, any of the Harry Potter series, stuff like that. It's all good stuff there. The original Guardians of the Galaxy. That's always the fun time there. But specifically the Nemesis and the Tarak scene. So you covered the Tarak scene, but the Nemesis scene is really cool. She's got these, dual wielding katana blades that look like they get really hot. That was my impression. They're like,
Something like that.
yeah, molten blades at a certain point.
Sounds right.
But then she's, saving this mining community. And then this like spider mother comes down who had stolen a baby from one of the minor parents. And it's a very cool fight scene back and forth with her kind of cutting off the eight legs of the spider. And then you actually kind of appeal to the spider's emotions a little bit when she tells her story. You're like, oh, I kind of get this here of her like lands being ravaged. And because of all the mining, she can't have any more babies or lay any more eggs. So it's like pretty interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
And a very cool scene too.
Yeah, for all the things that like there were quite a few writing mistakes I think in here, more so from a dialogue standpoint.
Yeah, I
But
agree. Yeah.
but that was one of them where it's like, no, this is like but for all the writing mistakes, a lot of the concepts that Snyder had for this were really sound, and I think that is a great example of one.
Absolutely. I agree. The other one I like too, we mentioned this off the top, Ed Skrein, who plays Admiral Atticus Noble, who is, the highest in command of what was it, the Mother World? Is that kind of the name of the
I thought his name was
bad
Francis.
guys? Oh, is that is Francis, right? Okay, I knew I recognized him.
Yeah.
You
But
could
yes, you're
say
right.
he's like dollar store version of Cillian Murphy and Peaky Blinders. That was what I was thinking.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Just add in like a little if you put on like Nazi garb instead of like a scally cap.
Yeah, no, that's not too bad of a call.
The haircut's the same thing.
Yes, and you were right about the Mother World, by the way. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I liked Atticus. I thought he was a very hateable villain. and did a good job playing the bad guy. Maybe he has some experience. I didn't make that connection initially with Deadpool there. But when he visits the farming village there, and you're not really sure, you're kind of in the similar position as the farmers. You're not really sure what they're here for, and you're thinking it could go either way, but you kind of know that something bad is going to happen the whole time. Kind of gave me Christoph Waltz and Inglourious Bastard vibes. That opening scene when he's in I don't know if it's like German countryside, and they're visiting the family who's got the Jews and the floorboards there.
Yep.
And again, you're just waiting for something to happen, but Christoph Waltz is like kind of charming, but also evil. And there was a little bit of that with Atticus Noble in that scene there.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I saw him right away. Like it's Ajax. Like that's the first, like Francis, whatever you want to call him. Like that, I think when I see him, that's what I think of first. And then he's in this villain role again, so it's like, okay, is he being typecast, like just as a villain because of his look and because of his acting ability? But I felt like while I could see maybe a little bit, maybe there were times where I was like, oh, it feels similar to Ajax. I still thought like he went and took what he did there in Deadpool, and it's like he graduated and became more refined and polished, and it's not in all the ways. But yes, that scene specifically, I think you're right. That was pretty gruesome. Like the turn that it took.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's got a great weapon too. I mean, it's just that walking stick with something. It looks almost like a pelvis bone or something like that. Like it's like dipped in gold. I don't know. I don't know if there's more to that. There's a significance to it or something. But it looks like it was like a part of an animal bone or something like that. But yeah, to beat people over the face and over the head with it, just kind of like wielding it around is like that's pretty badass.
Yeah. That was very like interesting choice, like with all this high tech stuff, and then you have this one weapon, and I feel like you usually see that with good guys more often, like in Rogue One, for example. But then you go and give it to this guy, so it's kind of an interesting decision. Now I'm curious. I want you to lead off on this one because you had one that I also wanted to highlight, but you had jotted down first for what's going to age the best from this movie.
Yeah, it's Kai's heel turn, and if you're wondering who Kai is, that's Charlie Hunnam's character there. Just through the marketing and everything alone, you thought he was going to be a major player in all of this, and I don't think he died, right? He didn't die.
No, I'm pretty sure he did. He got that like shot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so again,
fast,
yeah. It's no, you're right. But so you think he's going to be a major player throughout this, just through the marketing and through the advertising and everything. And you see him, he's almost kind of got, I mean, with the references you mentioned to Star Wars, he's got kind of this Han Solo vibe. He's like a bounty hunter, but he's kind of a good guy, but he's kind of a bad guy. He's got this like dickish charm. He's got his own ship, and you see him, what appears to be like him being like, I'm going to throw away all the bad stuff that I did for good. I'm going to be a good guy now. I'm with you. I'm going to buy into this cause. And then you find out that he sold everyone out and was trying to get everyone to get the gang back together so he can sell them all out for the bounty to the mother world there.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming at all.
No. And that's the thing too. Like, so Wes just broke it all down, but like, if you watch this, if you're listening to us and you haven't watched this already, you would not know that Charlie Hunnam is going to take a heel turn until he says that line, which is pretty late in the movie. And it is right before he does the heel turn. So like, he showed his hand to the audience, but at the same time, like it was just before it was going to happen. So it's
right
in the whole time, like he's been like a nice guy in the background, a helpful guy. He's definitely like a sleazebag, but it seems like he's just trying to do a good thing while also making some money. But yeah, it is kind of just like, it is like, if this isn't necessarily fair because there's so many stories where like you have characters that are based on other characters or inspired by other characters. And it's like, what if you had made this good guy into a bad guy? And then what would that be like? That's kind of what they did here with Han Solo, but I think he doesn't feel like Han Solo either at all.
No. But I can see if you're drawing comparisons. I mean, that's the first guy.
100%. Yes, spot on. Absolutely. He's a guy with a ship and everything too. He's a colonel, not a bounty hunter. Yeah, all of it.
And I think what got me on the why I bought in so much is I love Charlie Hunnam. I wanted to root for him. I wanted him to be on the good guy's side. So I was like, I was kind of hurt personally. It was like, oh man, like that sucks.
Yeah, I love Charlie Hunnam. Big, I love Sons of Anarchy. So I mean, like,
Hmm.
he does a great job. But yeah, he was that was unfortunate heel turn. Real piece of shit.
Yeah,
Slick
it's
back
too.
hair. You can't trust him.
No, you can't trust him. No. Again, I thought getting the gang together anytime you do that's great. I liked Atticus Noble. I mentioned him. This is an interesting one. Celebrating a good harvest season by throwing a party and telling the whole village to bang,
Huh.
create their own harvest.
Yeah, that's
It's a guy who knows how to party.
Yeah, that's a great leader right there. I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's I think more mayors and town selectmen we should do that. We should have a harvest day.
Yeah, work hard and play hard. Let
Yeah,
people get after it.
And then I completely overlooked Kai's death during Gunner's hero moment, but I was happy to see him get his hero moment there because he was having a tough go of it for a little bit.
Oh yeah, he looked. It was real rough for him. I mean, like early on, it's just like, dude, just shut up. Like how
Oh yeah. When he interrupts Darren Cross.
yeah, it's like you're gonna like something very bad is going to happen. Like you don't go and he's like afterwards, like I didn't know he was gonna do that. It's like everybody told you to shut the fuck up. Like what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
But it was like done believably throughout the whole time because like the character that was kind of how he was. He just thought he knew better than everybody else. But yes, like the hero moment was nice because he was absolutely not that the entire movie.
He's kind of a cuck. He opens up the movie like getting Kai and saying like, "Oh, the hunter returned." I forget his name. But like the big hunter has returned and he's looking for you and he's like just getting her for him. And then, Kai calls him a coward right before that whole scene kind of plays out. It's like everyone kind of knows that he's just this humble farmer.
Yeah, and he didn't go and turn into like this ultimate badass at the end. I like, yeah, sure he's firing the gun at the end, but like he's like kind of just trying to get like just do what he can in those moments. So I thought that was all very like well acted that final scene because it can be so easily just turned into like, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna flip a switch. It's like no, like you can save the day, but at the same time, like you
take
don't know
baby steps to it. Yeah,
exactly. So that was very well done. So yeah, I on a similar note, I like you said, Kai's whole heel turn was outstanding. I do think that Korra's story is really interesting, and I know we're gonna get more of that going forward. I do think that they bounced around a lot with that, trying to do a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I do think that will probably be one of the things that gets fleshed out a little bit better in the Snyder cut. But one thing that was like a small thing, but really, at least it felt small in the scheme of this story, but really made me feel differently about the character was when she was talking about the princess and how she became like one of her guards. And then she learns that the princess has these special healing abilities and all the history behind her name. When she was like, I hate all of this is the establishment, essentially, or the machine, however you want to look at it. But this girl who is going to be the head of that machine eventually, who's no longer with us, she believed in her. And I'm like, that is an interesting kind of layer that's added to this whole story.
Yeah, and I'm interested in Korra's story there, but because I was kind of confused by it. I want a little bit more. Like you said, it kind of jumps around. Like I'm kind of curious, like, how did her and Belisario split up, her adopted father? We find out that her nickname's a Scar Giver. Why is she the Scar Giver? How did Belisario die? All this kind of stuff. How did Princess Issa die? So a lot of those things I'm still kind of interested. Who was the guy who she was living with on the farmer moon?
Yeah,
I thought that was going to be, initially you're thinking that's like a father or an uncle or something like that, but then it's just some guy that she's living with.
Yeah, there's a lot that like, so with the Scar Giver nickname, like that is a thing that's teased. Like I'm like, okay,
we'll find that out.
We'll find that out. But with a lot of what you're talking about there, I think there are some fair complaints because it's you're giving us this stuff and you're piecing her story together, but it's like we need a little bit more connectivity with it.
Mhm.
And I feel like I see what he's going for, but at the same like Snyder was going for, but at the same time, what you're saying is fair. Like it's not like there's you maybe should have teased a couple of the things that you tried to flesh out, but then flesh out in full some of those other things.
And that's what I'm wondering is the difference between the Snyder cut here and the theatrical cut, if you will. I wonder if that's something that just gets cleared up there. And again, like that kind of helps and hurts my thoughts on the movie because like I want to see that, but I also know that it may not like I still may get it.
Yeah, I do think you have the right sense on that will be the difference. But
Mhm.
my thing in all this too is like, dude, if you keep running into this where you have these long movies that get cut down, which is like, I mean, seems pretty fucking normal for the business,
Right.
then start looking at them as shows more. I mean, people like shows a lot too. So
Or it just comes across like he loves the smell of his own farts, right? That's what the Zack Snyder fans are. He's like, no, everything's good. I can't cut anything. Everything
yeah.
is in there that has to be in there. And it's like, no, you gotta make cuts at some point.
For sure. And my last thing too, you hit on this quite a bit already, but like you talk about the angle of like getting the gang together. For me personally, it's like the specifically like these characters that are thrown into the mix are just like Nemesis, Tarek, and then like Ray Fisher's character, like as much as he was only around for a little bit, they were all really freaking cool. I mean, even Charlie Hunnam, like he's a piece of shit, but like he was a cool
interesting
character. Yeah. Titus is like he was like very like downtrodden, and then you see him like getting in the heat of battle, and then we find out like he's one of the greatest military minds to ever live. It's like wait a second, like it's like all these. It's just a really really cool group that came together for this story.
This was a little bit of a side note here, but the Scorpion capture machines that were boxes, pretty cool. Pretty cool idea there. I liked that.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one. That's a great call.
What do you think will age the worst?
I mean, the clear like Star Wars like copies again, like totally don't care. Like there's so people say it all the time, like everything's been done already. Like you just got to find ways to spin stuff and make it feel original. And that's very true. But there are moments here where it's like you're doing stuff and it feels like Star Warsy. Now we're watching this a lot later than everybody else. So we've heard some of like the idea, like there's too much Star Wars stuff in here. I haven't read reviews. I haven't listened to reviews, whatever. But knowing that, we get right off the rip, West, we get this like intro thing from Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
And I've always been like the Star Wars title cards. Like, yeah, now they're iconic. But like when I first watched them, I'm like, okay, can we just get the fucking movie started? Like, I don't want to, like, I don't need to read this right now. It's fine. Like, let's just go. Now, hearing Anthony Hopkins do basically the title card, but talking, I prefer the scroll. It was fucking genius. I'm sorry that I ever doubted.
Yeah. yeah. George Lucas, he knows a thing or two there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that like that. You have the bar fight scene that feel like it feels very New Hope like. As much as it went, and it's all like it went a different direction. It just felt like you're not just having a bar fight scene. Like you're having this guy who kind of looks like the fucking guy from A New Hope that's starting the fight. That was weird to me. So that's like the biggest thing. And then like we talked about off the rip, like the clunkiness that's in this movie. Some of it's with the dialogue, and the biggest the example of this comes at the end of the big battle scene where we have Titus, Jamon Hunsu's character, where he's like, this is an inspirational moment and like a representative of everything that's going on, and maybe other people will take up arms and blah blah blah. It's like we know. We were there. Like, we don't need somebody to tell us this. Now, that instance, I blame writing. But there were other times where the delivery of the dialogue also felt clunky. And like those are other examples, other things that happened.
Yeah, and I think the problem is when we talk about like Star Wars being a little bit more fun, where everyone's so downtrodden and beaten down by the control of the mother world through the universe. Everyone is kind of unemotional and stoic, and excuse me, blank faced. So like delivery, like you were saying, is all kind of the same. It all kind of is like one noted. And I think that kind of
That's a good
maybe
call.
lulls you into sleep. Where maybe they're thinking that demand line that you're saying is like, okay, no one's listening here. Let's really make sure we get this message home that this is a big win for the little guys.
God, if that's what they were thinking.
I don't know. I'm
God.
just connecting dots here. I'm
No,
trying.
that's fair. No. No, I'm worried because I think you might be right.
I think it was weird that Froffy was being cast as like a father, older man type role.
I'm curious how
Because
old
the
this
baby
is.
face thing doesn't work for me. And even when he's in like that afterlife ice world, he's got a beard, but you're still you just know that it's prosthetics because he's so fair skinned.
He's only 36.
Yeah, and there's like a point where they do a flashback of Korra, as a military leader, I guess, and seeing the father in like the Senate or something in like the Senate crowd, and they like she looks older than he does, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's a fair call too. I didn't think about it like
Yeah,
that.
it's a little thing. Yeah, the slow motion fights, like with that Snyder look, didn't really do it for me at times. Again, I thought it made it a little corny, a little cheesy.
Some of the times they did it were kind of odd. Like
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like the flashback scene where I talked about the flag where Korra has it. Like
Mhm.
that moment was cool. That was a good slow motion scene.
Yes, yep.
But like right before, I'm sorry, slow motion moment, because in that same scene, right before it, where she's like kind of running, they like slow it down in a weird spot, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then they speed it back up. I'm like, this makes more sense to slow it down here. Like what? I don't know. It was just odd choices there.
I got the same vibe during the Tarak scene with the Griffin when the Griffin throws Tarak off into the mountain, then he's running to get back on, and you know that he has to make a big leap, and it's like this guy's not like doesn't look like he's pumping his arms fast enough to be able to get to speed. It looks like what they did was like use him jogging, and then they slowed it down. And it's like it doesn't look like he was running at full effort to begin with, so it was already like a slower version of what it should have been. I'm
Yeah,
like, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah,
You know-
yeah, it was kind of clunky with the with that.
I'm curious if you noticed this in this. Look again, like this is what happens sometimes when we watch things later and everybody else has had a chance to weigh in. But that moment, as much as I liked that moment, that whole sequence a lot, he has that slow motion jump, right? Like where we see him like kind of cross over the sun and everything. Kind of cool. Like I'm like, that's an interesting choice. Then we get the Ray Fisher scene later, where it's like he's making the same kind of jump for very different reasons.
Maybe it's that's the scene I'm thinking of actually, instead of the Tarak scine,
That
where
might be
he
it.
wasn't running fast. It didn't look like he was running to get enough speed on the jump. I'm sorry, go on.
You might be right. That might have been it. But you go, yeah, because I think they slowed down his run 100%.
Yeah.
But they go and have the same shot, and I'm like, okay, like both are cool. Feels weird that you're having both in the same fucking movie.
Yeah, yeah, well, exactly. Everything's perfect. Everything's meant to be there. Yeah, that's tough there. No, I'm with you. How about the Motherworld soldiers on the farm moon?
Oh, they were awful.
They were real bad guys.
Real pieces of shit. Yeah.
Because you get the young kind of like Asian looking soldier who has the heart, right? It looks like he's like staying with the farmers after everyone leaves and after that war breaks out. And he looks like my vision of him is like he's a new recruit just getting there. And you find out that like, all right, this one blonde guy is a psycho and he's like kind of bullying you. And you think you're going to get the support of your superior, and he's like an equally worse guy. It's like, oh man, it's like that's got to be pretty demoralizing pretty quickly.
They were pretty friggin' terrible. Yeah, that was. You're right. Like I thought, like, oh, okay, we have this one guy who's an a-hole. There's probably some other ones in the bunch, but no. It just really, really deteriorated really fast.
Yeah, pretty bad there. They're bad guys. Korra's sleeping with the hunter, even though they never really interacted. I thought that was kind of weird. And then like everyone's talking about like, hey, we heard you last night.
Yeah, it was like
we heard you with the hunter getting it on.
Yeah, I was like, so wait, it did happen? Like, you sure about that? Like,
I think it happened, right?
They said it. No, you are right. They said
that's
it
what
happened.
her reaction was. Though.
I'm wondering, like, she seemed like she was playing along. Like, no, you're not wrong in anything you said. I'm saying it
Thank
seems
you.
very weird, and it seems like they yada over it. I like almost am thinking, are you sure that it was actually her sleeping with the hunter? Because that would be a weird thing to just make it say it happened, and then like no payoff, nothing to lead us to believe it actually happened otherwise.
He doesn't have. I don't think he even speaks one word.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He just gives her a couple of looks, which, hey, maybe that's alpha male. That's like peak alpha male there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was weird.
It is peak alpha male. I'll give you that, but yeah, I don't know. It's strange.
And we talked about this already, but you don't really know too much about the team other than that they're all kind of coming together. It all kind of felt rushed through. Like, hey, we got to go to this planet and then go to this planet and then go to this planet, and then we got the team. But we talked about that.
Well, I will say too, like, where with Tarek we get this cool thing of like we find out he's like the like royalty. We find this out after they've all been like captured. Okay, that's cool. He was already fleshed out, I think, quite a bit because we saw him. We saw like part of who his growth that he's experienced when he was taming the Griffin. When we see Nemesis, she's a cool, badass character. Don't get me wrong, and like you can tell, like she's like you don't want to fuck with her. But then we find out like just how much, and it was only like in that rushed moment, at the end, and like how did we not learn a little more about her a little sooner?
Because what was it? Her whole family was slayed by the mother world or the king.
Something like that, and she said like she had said that she'd experienced the loss of children. But then it's like she's killed like 16 like politicians and their bodyguards. Something
That's
like
right.
That.
Yeah.
How did that not get brought up before?
Right. Maybe you flash back to that real quick. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like okay, we know she's a badass and she takes care of the people here on the planet she's from, and then she deals with the spider lady. But it's like no, like. I don't know. You're recruiting her. How do you not know that she's gone after 16 people like that, high-ranking people? Just like again, some odd choices.
No, I agree. I'm with you there. All right. So, what do you think will happen in part 2, the Scargiver?
I think we're gonna get a lot more fleshed out with Cora. And I know I forget what her actual real name is. That that's another thing. Like some of the names.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're tough. Like it's like I didn't know most.
And then she just got this whole other name in there, and then we find out she's the Scargiver, and she's like Antithesis or whatever her name is there, right? It's not really Cora, but it's like, all right, well, who is this person? We need to what? So I don't know. Yeah. I hear you.
No, it's a little difficult, but I would think we're gonna get more of her backstory. I would also think we're going to get this the battle on the Rebel Moon. I would think in some capacity too, and we'll probably get the Blood Axe sister, who's actually the leader of the primary leader. I would think they're going to come into the mix in some capacity again.
Yeah, they all step up in the death of Darian, who kind of gives himself in a sacrificial move for the cause there, which was cool. I think we got to see something with Jimmy, right? I thought the ending of Jimmy there, and what was interesting, you see the crown of flowers that I think it's Sam, who the young girl who almost gets captured there.
Yes.
By the Mother World soldiers. She gives him the crown of flowers there, which kind of gives him like a benevolence type of look to it. But by the end of it, he pops up in the cornfields and he's got antler horns. So my thought is like, all right, so while they're away getting the gang together, he's like taken over as the leader in light of Darren Cross dying and Cora leaving and Gunner leaving as well. He kind of steps up. So I wonder what his deal is. And now maybe his protocol changes where he's now fighting for the good side, right? So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I felt that more protector than leader vibe.
Okay.
But yeah, like that's a fair point. There's part of what's good and part of what's also a little odd is like I have a tough time guessing where this is going outside of what we've said, because there's a lot that was tried to accomplish in part 1, and there's a lot that if it's part 1 and part 2, like there's a lot to still make good on in part 2 as well. So
I want to know what these red priestesses are
Yeah.
that are following around Atticus and bring him back to life. They seem like they're doing some like necromancer type stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of a robot, but he's kind of not. So I'm interested by his backstory and a little bit more of the mother world. And this is an original thought here. I saw this in some review on YouTube here, but that some people think that Sam could be like a reincarnation of Princess Issa, and that she might be the big unifying factor and have the ability to heal, and kind of has that special power that can unite everyone together.
So the girl that like the soldiers like
Try to take.
captive.
Yeah,
They think that she's the reincarnation of the princess.
I guess because they kind of look similar. They had a similar type of look to them, and like she was had kind of this like pure innocence about her, right? And she's like talking to Jimmy down at the Water Creek.
I mean, I just from a timing standpoint, I don't know how that all adds up. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
We're not digging into these things like everybody else is. But it just seems like that.
I thought that could be an interesting idea. I think she's more of a player, maybe not to that same degree, but they felt it felt like she's used more than just to be like a damsel in distress.
Yeah, she could end up being more. She was of like the village people. She was one of like the more prominent ones because it was Gunnar, her, obviously Cora, the older dude that Cora lived with, Aaron Cross, which I'm blanking on his actual name. The
I
name.
couldn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's Darren Cross.
But those like those were it was like those four outside of Cora. Were the prominent ones. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm good with that here. Who had the best performance by a side character?
I really liked what Ray Fisher did. A thing that I didn't put in age the best, but it does kind of fit there, was his whole talk of the rebellion. I really liked this. Like, it's so easy to be like, I don't like this, I don't want to do that. And then like you actually want to stand for it. Like now it's time for us to like, hey, yeah, we may take a hit, but like these people are taking a hit because of us. They're in certain and now we need to go and make good. We need to be about it more than just like than how we are doing it. Like I thought that was really well done. And I know he's for being a big name and all the stuff that happened with the Justice League stuff, he's in and out kind of fast, but it's like he made full use of his time on screen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good call. I really like Darren Cross as the village father. I was, again, another kind of surprise thing to see him go down so quickly.
Yeah.
Because they played him up to be such a main character, almost like in not Lord of the Rings. Wow. Game of Thrones, where they have Sean Bean come in and he's like, Darren Cross is like kind of a recognizable actor, at least in our kind of sphere of things. Like, okay, and you see him as the leader. He's kind of wise. He's kind of stern, but he's welcoming. Come have some ale. We're humble farmers. Let me show you my village while I put on my scally cap, and then bam, he's done. He's trying to get the whole village to procreate. It's like I'm rooting for this guy, so I liked him. I really liked the Spider Mother. And I want to say Jimmy, but there wasn't enough there. But I'm intrigued by him moving forward.
I do feel similarly with you though about the village father. Like again, I feel bad saying his first name begins with a C, but the village father, like Darren Cross, he was awesome. Like he did it was for the character too, for the actor too. It's like it felt like a very different role than what I'm used to seeing him in. But
he's usually a piece of shit.
Yeah, he played it so perfectly. And then when he dies there, like I honestly like, I was surprised because like you kind of have like, okay, you have this young actor who plays Gunnar who's like, I've seen in some stuff. He's in the Haunting of Hill House, and but then you have this other actor who like he's been in the MCU, like he's a very recognizable face. Who's the guy that's gonna get taken down here? And they go with him. They go with the latter option. He did a great job.
Yeah, and he lost his face too. At least part of it, right?
Well,
I mean, you could see it. It like took a chunk out of his face, and like a piece like flies off. Yeah, too bad. Who lost the movie aside from Garen Cross in his face.
It has to be Gunner. I mean, as much as he has the redemption at the end,
Yeah.
it's like he really screwed up more than
Yeah,
one way.
really screwed up, and again, is kind of getting cucked around by everybody there. You know, by the Hunter, by Kai at a certain point, because before Kai's heel turn, he's kind of like slick talking. It feels like he's laying the groundwork to slide in with Cora there. You know.
Yeah, and yes, yeah, 100%. I will say though, he's set up to like really to redeem himself. Like he obviously did at the end of the movie, but like throughout the course of this, he's a guy who thought he knew shit, and he's found out in this first movie, I don't know anything. So
he's just a humble farmer.
Exactly. Well, he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was too humble. He had some pretty big britches. But
that's true. That's a good point.
But this has been a humbling experience.
But I do agree with him at the beginning. He's like, whether I'm selling to the mother world or to the rebels, like I have no problem with it. I'm taking the highest price. It's going to be like my interest is for the community. So whatever's going to benefit the community the most. Like I don't disagree with that logic. But for him to speak out of turn and that moment in front of Atticus was batshit crazy.
I agree with both things. Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, we agree on Gunner. I think he was a loser in this movie, but also King Leviticus. Poor guy.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
His race of people have been around for 10,000 years, and they've always ruled, and they've always welcomed people in on both sides. And he does this one time, and Noble just destroys the whole world. You just the whole bloodline ended.
I kind of wish that. Atticus said at the end of that moment, like, "What's my name?" So it's just that one time to be a dick, because it was like, yeah, this whole thing's just like it was terrible. It was awful. Like it's Matt, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was.
So yeah, he let the people down. Who won the movie?
So I'm honestly going with a couple other side type characters, but definitely more prominent than Ray Fisher's character of the brother Blood Axe. We got Bay Donna, who plays Nemesis, and then Stas Nair, who plays Tarek. I've never knowingly seen Stas Nair before, so this was like complete.
I could say probably for both. Yeah, I agree.
So complete new introduction for me to the character. To the actor, and I thought he did an outstanding job with pretty much every moment he had on screen. Then we have Bay Donna, who I have seen in my wife's gonna kill me. I'm gonna have to. I'm forgetting the show that she introduced me to. That Bay Donna is in. I'm gonna have to look it up after when you're going through your things. But it's she plays like a badass in that one, but it's a much more grounded story. Like it's set in this, like it has a supernatural fact. Sensate, Jesus, dude. Okay. Sensate. I just want everybody to know who's only listening to us. I did not look that up in case my wife.
No, it came back in.
Thank you. But in Sensate, there is like a supernatural type thing going on there, but still, like from a fighting standpoint, she's like just a normal human being. So I've seen her now in 2 action type roles, and she's got a lot of potential, man. I would like to see her continue to get some bigger opportunities in that department. So yeah, I thought this was a big win for both of those actors.
I agree. If we're going to stick on the actor side of things, I like Sofia Boutella. Again, she was a little too stoic, a little too stiff at times, I think, to convey maybe some of the emotion that's involved in some of the dialogue and some of the moments here. I loved Ed Skrein as the villain. Again, very hateable guy. So I think that's key. And when you have, a long lasting epic where it's going to be a reoccurring villain over there, I think that's in good hands. And even though Gunner may have lost the movie, I think he also wins because he does get that hero moment at the end there. And it kind of sets that trajectory where he should take on more of that hero role in the next 2 movies.
Yeah, some would say that he proved that people can change. So
yes.
I think I agree there. I agree with Ed Skrein, and I do like Sofia Boutella. I do think she did a good job. But I also think she was done a disservice. Because everything that we're talking about with that character and like how it's like, okay, there's cool stuff going on, but all like we said before, like there's certain things that are like they give us a lot of cool things and they get into him a little bit, but not enough's made good. It's like extended teases, and it's a little bit frustrating. None of that's on her. Like I know what you're like. So I think that where there were issues with the character, it wasn't on her. Like I think she played the character well.
No, I agree there. I think one thing that didn't work well for her was the soldier haircut. That's a tough look there.
Yeah, wasn't
it's tough. Most women can't pull off the short hair look, though. At least in my opinion, I think that's tough.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the long hair.
I generally am as well. That like the military short haircut is
the Peaky Blinders cut. You know, it's like it's only for was it Tommy Sullivan?
Tommy Shelby.
Shelby. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, but even then, like it's not everybody. Even then, like I see like Arthur, who's his brother in that show. It's like he looks like kind of like a cartoon character in some ways because of the hair. But
which is too bad because like if you're in a show like that, where you have to have that haircut all the time, like you just have to wear that in your everyday life. Like that's tough. Like I remember Glenn Howerton, who plays Dennis on It's Always Sunny. He did the Blackberry movie that came out within the last year. And his role, he had a U-pattern bald shape. And I don't think he wore prosthetics. I think he actually like shaved it off and stuff. So like he was talking about on the It's Always Sunny podcast, like how he was just wearing that out in life. It's like, that's got to kind of suck.
That would suck. But hey, it's neat for him. Probably an easy way to not get recognized.
That's true. That's a good point there. Okay. So you said at the beginning of this that you might take off points. Do you want to do that?
No, I'm fine with giving this a 79. I know we were critical of quite a few things, but like there's a lot of cool stuff in this, and I do like that dark color palette. And there was what really gives it extra points for me is a lot of those shots, those moments that feel like this is a cover of a comic book. Like that's I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Hey, we all got our weak points here. So
what about you?
No, I'm keeping it where it is. I'm happy with it. So Nick gave it a 79. I gave it a 83. That's a CMM aggregate score of 81. I got that right? You double check that math?
I was like 82, 80, 81 right in the middle. Look at that.
In the middle there. There we go. I like that's kind of how my mind works too, actually. It's kind of scary. But now streaming on Netflix, again, I would say I can maybe speak for both of us here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you haven't seen this movie yet and you listen to the spoiler-filled podcast, wait until the director's cut comes out, whenever that is.
Yes, and it looks like we're getting part 2 in April. So
okay.
Yes. So but yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, I had a fun time, but it's not like you have to see this thing. But
yes,
I'm sure we'll talk about part 2 when that time comes.
Absolute content, baby. We need content.
This is true.
We also need tickets because the train is leaving the discharge depot right now.
Choo-choo, bitches.
What'd you do this weekend, Nick?
So watched a couple different things. So I watched Leave the World Behind on Netflix. So that's Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali. Have you watched this yet? I feel like
no. I've heard a lot of discourse about this though. It felt like a polarizing movie in a sense.
It was, and I think this got like I want to say this was like so it was like a 76 from the critics, but like a 35 from the audience on Rotten Tomatoes. And I checked it afterwards. I knew that you said that there was something up with it. I don't like, again, like this is one of those things where it's like, this is not a 35 movie. Like, what are you talking about? I can understand the 76. I'm kind of surprised the critics were that down on it. The only thing is like, this is like a depressing film. There's no question about it. It's the start of like this like apocalypse, and it's moves at like a slow pace, but it makes sense because you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and it seems like a very calculated like terrorist type attack in this movie. Julia Roberts' character, she plays like definitely a person that like is a realistic character, but a realistic person, but also fucking insufferable. Definitely what she's going for, but you'll watch it, Wes, and you're going to absolutely hate her. And then like I felt that why am I blanking on his name right now?
Mahershala?
No, not Mahershala Ali.
Is it Patrick Dempsey? Is he in there?
That's funny. No, but you have Kevin Bacon in there. His character was very realistic. Mahershala Ali was great. No, it's not. Oh, why am I? It's his daughter is. Oh wow, this is pissing me off. I'm getting overwhelmed right now. I'll look it up in a second. But the Julia Roberts' husband in this movie is
Mark
he's
Ruffalo.
no fuck. I was gonna. Wait, okay. What's the Dead Poet Society? What's the main kid's name?
The Dead Poets Society.
That's the Robin Williams movie. Like
yeah. Who is the main guy in that?
Okay, look up. Do me a favor. Look up real quick. Look up the movie Sinister while I try and land this fucking plane. But it's the main lead actor in Sinister. But he's also a very realistic individual.
Ethan Hawke.
Thank you.
Yes.
My Hawks' daughter. God damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah. You're on the right track. You're right there.
Killed me. But anyways, Ethan Hawke, also another very realistic character. And I just felt like, yeah, I could see all of this very much happening if we were like under attack and it was like a cyber attack that just broke down American society.
Yeah, is this like, I don't know if I want to spoil this, but is what I heard was like there's a lot of misinformation about who is doing the attacks, and that's kind of done purposefully.
It's confusion about who's doing the attacks.
Okay.
Yeah,
but not to the audience, but to the American people.
Yeah, well, there's really only 5 characters in this whole, or no, 6. Fucking math. There's really only 6 characters. We see one more, but there's really only 6. And you only get like you as the audience member have more information than they do. Not a ton more, but you get bits and pieces. But yeah, so that's wild. That's heavy. Like definitely something that you got to be in the right mindset to watch because it is a little depressing. But I very much enjoyed watching it. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we got Has Been Hotel on Amazon, which is this new animated series that I kind of just stumbled upon. And it's got a musical element to it, which again, like I know
everyone's going nuts about musicals,
apparently, but it's like a heaven and hell kind of thing. And we have the daughter of Lucifer and Lilith, who's trying to like rehabilitate some people who are in hell, so they'll go up to heaven because hell's overpopulated. And I'm like, okay. And then we got some interesting characters. There's one character who kind of reminds me of Goo, just in the sense that he's the radio demon. And as much as Goo likes television and film, he like this character hates.
He's a radio boy,
right? He hates television in the screen. This character, so it's just he's a funny individual. My probably my favorite character so far. So I just started it. There's only 4 episodes on Amazon. I don't know if that's the whole thing or what, but I've enjoyed the start of this.
Okay. All right there. I think part of the discourse would Leave the World Behind too is that when this movie came out, the trailer for A24's Civil War also came out like right around the same time. So I think people would use the term predictive programming for this, like as if this is put on or sponsored by the government or the powers that be in the world to soften the blow for a potential cyber attack that's going to play out years later. You know, when you see like 9/11 stuff like in The Simpsons, like way before 2001, and it's like, oh, the Simpsons knew. And it's like they're trying to soften the masses by like saying, like, oh, I've seen this before. My mind can wrap my brain around it. I saw this in a movie that was in real life. Now that's the conspiratorial angle of it all.
Never. I mean,
but that's probably where some of the low audience score comes from there.
That's okay. I mean, that's like I understand the dots being connected there, but that seems like
it's a lot of dots.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like I'm not saying leaps aren't taken, but I understand like the connection of the dots.
Yeah, or like maybe where that movie Contagion came out, and then COVID happens, and you're like, oh, this reminds me of Contagion.
Yeah.
This is maybe I'll watch this and get an idea of like how to approach everything from now.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff there. Speaking of conspiracies and mysteries, True Detective season 4 on HBO Max, season 4 episode 2. About halfway through episode 2 here. I'm still kind of on the fence of it. Like everyone has said, I love the setting of Alaska to add to that mysterious tone to it. I'm not sure how I feel about the 2 main actresses yet and how they interact with them. again, this is kind of like a reoccurring theme that I've seen just with the last couple of things that we reviewed, whether that's Echo, whether that's this Rebel Moon with Sophia Boutella, or True Detective. You get this archetype of like a stern, emotionally closed off, stoic female character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, maybe it's just like, because I've watched those things in succession, it gets a little tiresome after a while. I like to see a little bit, sounds weird saying this, but diversity.
Yeah.
Diverse in emotions, or different types of people, or different types of personalities.
That's interesting. In both the main characters?
They're both kind of, like that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I haven't watched it
but
yet.
It's good. I like it. I like it so far.
It's good. Okay. Because if at a certain point we'll decide on, like, is it 6 episodes or 8 episodes? Do you remember?
No, I think it's at most 6. It might be 5, but I might still have Echo on the brain there.
Okay. Well, because this is like a tentative possible episode for us, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching it throughout anyway. So if you can get up through it, up to speed on it, then for sure.
I 100% will be giving this a look, sure. So if we're gonna do an episode on it, there's no question that I'll watch this. I only skipped season 2, but like that was, I mean, everybody was like, "They don't." You're wasting your time. So it was.
I still want to go back and like give that a rewatch and see if like an older Wes has a different viewpoint on it, but it's the time commitment.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I don't know about that series, but like I like the pace at which they move. It makes perfect sense for the stories they're telling, but at the same time, like these are kind of things that, especially as shows, are not immensely rewatchable.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that's what I got going on there. But yeah,
nice.
What do we got brewing? What's in the hopper for next week?
For next week, I don't have
we might have a free play.
I think so, and then we run into like a long stretch of having everything kind of laid out. I'm not certain. I'm trying to see if I can find our doc for this. Oh, there we go. All right. So for next week, that is the week of the 29th. Oh, we have DCEU funeral rankings.
Oh, okay. So maybe this was geez, can we watch Aquaman on demand?
That's actually a fair point. Neither of us have seen it yet. So I don't know if Aquaman 2 is I think it is, but I'm not certain if you can watch it yet. It's on Vudu, which doesn't help us at all, and then it's on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know if it's available yet.
Well, video on demand, I guess if I would be okay with watching that movie and not reviewing it, and then seeing where that ranks within the DCU final rankings.
Do you want to pay $25 to watch it?
That's pricey. Yeah.
That's if I'm paying that, I want to see it in the theater.
Might as well see it in the theater.
Yeah. So we do have time still. I mean, we have a free play like right before Valentine's Day, so we could do it. We could push that back till then and create create something else.
Okay.
Yeah, we could just wait till like when Aquaman comes to HBO Max, then we can
do that. Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay, and then we'll figure it out for next week. We'll kind of fly by the seat of our pants here.
TBD, your favorite?
That's my favorite episode.
Yep. So until next week.
Yeah, same bat time, same bat place.